Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Samira commentary guide. Now first things first is Happy New Year to all of you. Depending on where you are in the world, your New Year is either going to be today or tomorrow. So Happy New Year to everyone out there. But with that out the way, let's get straight into the video. So in this match, as you can see, we're playing Samira. Now, I'm not generally a Samira player because I don't really like Samira's playstyle, which involves going in the middle of the enemy team and putting yourself in harm's way. Now, I don't quite like that. I'd much rather play something like a Jinx or a Caitlyn where you can stay in the back line and just stay safe. It's what I much prefer, but I've hit a pretty huge like 8-game losing streak in ranked, and I decided to just try something new. Just try out the Samira. Now, I think Samira, in my opinion, is one of the best ADCs just due to the fact that she always has the potential to win you a match. And there are very few champions in the game that have this sort of potential, and of course the most notable and the most famous one is Katarina, because obviously you guys know, even if a Katarina is really behind, if you guys, let's say, take one bad team fight, let's say for example you end up taking Baron and you're all low, and instead of recalling after Baron, you turn and fight the enemy team. Let's say Katarina kills one person, gets a reset, and ends up killing everybody. Your team has just got aced and your team has just lost the Baron buff, and that's it. It's all over for you. Let's say that's 20 plus minutes to the game and the enemy team just ends the game, and you end up losing a game you should have won because the Katarina did that. Now Samira can do something very similar, and of course I have played against a number of Samiras in solo queue, although I have not ran into that situation as of recently, but we all know Samira does have that sort of potential, and she's probably one of the only ADCs that do have that kind of potential. I'd say the next closest is Vayne, where if you're like really far behind, sometimes you do get to that point where you get like 3 items and you end up having a team fight where you kill everybody. I've had a lot of games like that because I do play Vayne a lot, because I do enjoy playing Vayne despite her being short ranged. But yeah, so anyways, we're back with the Samira, which is a pick I don't normally play, and we're already off to a bad start. There me and Leona try to take a bad fight and we die. Here we're again trying to take another fight, but it's not really going too well, as you guys can see. We do manage to get Varus very low, and we do also get the stun on Soraka, but I end up getting very low as well, so I'm gonna have to run out there using my S rank movement speed. Now the issue with this lane is, by right, Samira and Leona is an all-in lane, so we should win against this sort of lane where it is more so a sustain lane because of Soraka. But of course we do have Varus with the poke, but Varus is not very good at poking, as you guys can see. He's mostly using his arrow for CS, so he's not really poking us all that much. So it's mostly just Soraka. Now the issue here is Soraka's healing is honestly pretty insane, and all-inning them doesn't even get us a kill because Soraka simply heals too much. And here Leona gets caught out by the Varus arrow and Leona goes down, and in the meanwhile I've just hit level 5 and I'm getting zoned away from the minions because of course it's 2v1 now, and yeah, you guys can see I'm getting chunked out. So I'm at the point where like one arrow could possibly kill me, so I'm gonna have to like back far away off and then recall to get back some health. So it's a pretty bad early game, pretty poor early game. Now Samira is not one of those champions like Vayne, who has a really bad early game, or Jinx maybe. Samira's early game is actually decent, especially if you have an engaged support, which we do have Leona in this match. Because if your support goes in, you can follow up using your passive and also dash in to, you know, all in the enemy team. So Samira's early game is actually decent, but in this game, because we're against a Soraka, we really don't have kill potential because Soraka heals so much. And Leona now has picked up the Bramble Vest, so now we should be in a little bit of better shape, because when they attack Leona, they will get the Grievous Wounds. So this should allow us to hopefully deal a little bit more meaningful damage without it just, you know, dissipating. So here, in this particular match, Samira is pretty alright, except when we're against Soraka, because before we get into that, let's explain what happens here. Kayn comes in for the gank, gets stunned by Leona. We do decent damage onto the Kayn. Varus flashes forward for the ulti. I move aside. Leona ultis for the disengage, but I try to go back in with the S rank, and just look at that healing. by the way. I assumed that Varus had the Grievous Wounds because he ulted the Leona. However, the Grievous Wounds falls off pretty quickly, so he didn't have Grievous Wounds anymore. So when I went in with the ulti, Soraka used her heal and her ult, and Varus basically got back like more than half of his health from that, and because of that, I can't finish him off and I die. So I start off 0-2 and 0, Leona 0-3 and 0, so we're doing really bad. I decided to actually pick up some boots here so that I can move around a little bit more easily to dodge Varus arrows, etc. Even though I haven't had my first item yet. But I do decide to opt into the boots. So now looking at the enemy team, what kind of CC does the enemy team have? That's your main question whenever you want to play Samira. So Kayn does have a knockup if he goes red form, but that's quite hard to hit because it's you know, you have to manually aim it. Yasuo has his tornado, but it's incredibly conditional. Irelia has her flawless duet, which is also quite a challenge to hit. Varus has the root on the Chain of Corruption, which I believe does not actually interrupt Samira's ultimate. It just makes it such that she cannot move. But also it's quite hard to hit. The one that's actually easy to hit and is a problem though is Soraka's Silence. So anyways, here we are going into a fight. Here I flash in, try to get up to S rank, which I do. Unfortunately, I'm left 1v1 against Irelia. I ult her, exhaust her, but it's not gonna happen. I barely actually die there. I nearly got the kill on Irelia, but nearly doesn't count. So I start the game off 0-3, and as you guys can see from the title, the match doesn't really go very well at the start. But, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Samira is one of those champions that can take over a team fight and can take over a match just from one bad fight from the enemy team. Like, think about if you get, like, you know, a couple of kills just from one fight, you're basically just back into the game. That's what I love and hate about Samira. Like, when I play Samira, I always have hope because I know that that could happen. And when I'm against a Samira, no matter how far ahead I am, I do know that Samira could possibly come back into the match with just one good fight and get, like, maybe 2 shutdowns or something like that. And you know, it could be very different. Anyways, here Leona goes all in onto the Varus. And again, we're trying to get rid of the Varus. Here I finally actually kill the Varus this time, but unfortunately, the Soraka manages to actually heal him enough to a point where I do manage to get the kill, but I'm left at 1 HP. So Soraka ends up getting the kill on me instead, and we end up trading basically 1 for 1. Now, this is a favorable trade for us because firstly, I got the kill and Varus didn't, and of course secondly, Soraka got the kill instead. So it's really, I guess you could say it's kind of a win, but of course we were 0-4, so now just getting 1 kill, we were 0-3, so just getting 1 kill is pretty huge for us. Varus is like 1.5k gold ahead of me at this point, despite him having also only 1 kill, but he does have 6 assists. Alright, so anyways here, Leona's kind of trying to bait, but they don't really fall for it, thankfully for them. And here I have finally picked up my Bloodthirster. Leona hits the ulti onto Varus and goes all in. Soraka basically just gives up on her Varus. She either was shopping or she just didn't care, but basically we get a free kill onto Varus, which is exactly what we needed to get back into the game. Another kill for me, and now we can try to take down this top lane tower. And in the meantime, our team is using Herald and bot, trying to secure the bot lane tower. So basically, we're gonna get first tower of the game either way. So we do manage to pick up first tower in the top lane. And in the bot lane, Rift Herald does crash, but doesn't actually finish off the tower. Tower is left at really low HP. Here Leona goes in, but unfortunately Samira's range is not the longest in the world, so you cannot actually reach her. Again with the stun, I'm trying my best to get into dash range, but it doesn't quite work. Here Varus goes in with the ulti, and I managed to actually W majority of his damage. And here I actually managed to turn around and actually do manage to kill the Varus before dying. And considering how badly I was chunked out and how bad that first part of the fight went, I think trading 1 for 1 is a pretty good outcome. Anyways, I've had enough. I've gone for the Executioner's Calling. Now, in some very particular matchups, like against like Soraka and Sona, etc., getting an Executioner's Calling is really worth it for even if you're the ADC, because without it, you can't really kill anybody. So, in majority of matchups, like even if you're against like a Nami or whatnot, or some other champions that heal a lot, generally you want to rely on your team to get anti-heal, because getting anti-heal sets you behind really far in terms of your build, because the Executioner's Calling costs 800 gold, and 800 gold is not a whole lot, but it's not like a negligible amount either. That's sort of the problem. So only in specific matchups like when you're against like Yumi, Sona, Soraka, and like matchups that you cannot win if you don't have anti-heal, then it is gonna be worth it to get it. If not, it's not gonna be a good idea. Here, Varus tries to go in with the ulti. I managed to flash over the ulti and finally managed to get to my S rank, and I'm pelting the enemies down with my ulti. Here, Kayn pops out of his ultimate. I pick up the double kill. Soraka's out of mana, and in comes Irelia. Unfortunately for Irelia, as I said, Soraka does not have mana to heal her, and I pick up a kind of random triple kill. I do have my ult available as well, so I use it to actually quickly clear the wave so my team can secure another tower. And yeah, so if you take a look at the goal, I'm now at 7.5 gold, which is basically the same as a lot of my teammates, and also about the same as the enemy team. So despite being like 1.5k gold ahead of the Varus initially, as I said, with just one random fight, Samira can instantly just get back into the game just with one good fight. And that was the good fight for me. We did get the good fight there. And here we came back and pick up the two components of the IE. Didn't actually really mention the build that I was going for, but I'm going of course for Bloodthirster into IE, into LDR, into Phantom Dancer and GA. As we mentioned in the updated complete guide, we did, I think, like within the last month, I believe. That's Samira's latest and greatest build. Alright, another thing is, we actually have gone for a sudden impact on Samira because Hunter Vampirism is useful, but we already have healing from Bloodthirster, so sudden impact for the extra penetration, because Samira dashes constantly, is going to be really good. So we have Conqueror, Sudden Impact, Ultimate Shield, and Nimbus Cloak. Probably one of the most unique ADC rune setups out of them all. So here we get another free pick onto Irelia, and we're really back into the game now. We're 6, 5, and 3 at the moment. And that's a long way from 0 and 3, so we're doing pretty good now. We're chasing down this Soraka. And we do have the ulti, but unfortunately we don't get in range of Soraka to use it. We do get in range though of Varus and Irelia. So here again we pick up the kill on Irelia as well as the Soraka. Next we're moving on to the Kayn. We get a second round of ultimate and we kill the Kayn after that. And another triple kill for me. So at this point in time now, I have the most gold in the game at 9.5k gold. And now I am the most fit member of the game, which is a huge difference from just now being 0 and 3, like getting killed in lane 3 times by the enemy laner. So this is really kind of my point, that with Samira you're never truly out of the game. You always kind of have a chance to get a good fight and come back into the game, which is the best and worst part of Samira, depending on whether you are playing as her or against her. Pretty sure nobody wants enemy Samira to get back into the game. Anyway, we secure the IE and I decide to actually go for Stasis this match instead of going for QSS, because you can't really QSS Soraka Silence. You can QSS like 1 second of Soraka Silence and it's gonna activate again, so no real point building QSS against Soraka. So might as well just get the Stasis, because as I mentioned, not a whole lot of other ways the enemy team can CC me very easily, so I'm not too worried about getting CC in this match, except from Soraka, which as I said, QSS does not really help against. So here me and Lux are desperately trying to hold mid because all of our teammates just died, so enemy team of course is going to try to get a push on, and here we're just trying to defend our mid lane tower if we can, which seems to be going relatively well for us so far. And instead enemy team decides to push in top, but thankfully our team has already respawned, so we are good in that sense that our team can actually help to defend top instead, so the enemy team doesn't actually get too much out of those 3 deaths. So not much happening now. Obviously when we have downtime, we're just going to try to farm waves and farm jungle, you know, the usual. Baron is up, which of course is something we got to take note of, that Baron is indeed on the map. And if we get a good fight, or we can get Baron, or if we lose a bad fight, they can get Baron, so we got to really take note of that. Here Lux with a very nice double root. Here I go in and I have my ulti. Unfortunately, I get silenced by Soraka, and that's what I was talking about. That's why Soraka kind of counters Samira quite a bit in lane, as you guys can see, and also as you guys can see in like the later stages of the game where she kind of cancels my ult with the silence. But thankfully, we do get the kill on Irelia anyways, so it's not, you know, too bad. Still goes pretty well. And so here I'm kind of trying to stay back to try to bait the enemy team into going in, and here Yasuo actually goes all in with the ulti, allows me to charge up my ultimate, and again I get rooted and I get silenced, so no ulti for me. Yeah, kind of sucks to play Samira when there's a Soraka silence there. Soraka's been doing a really good job, props to her for being able to actually silence me. But here I'm going back in on the Kayn, who has been transported, you know, right to me by my teammates, because Kayn was stuck in his ulti. He could have exited, but he did not do that, so ends up going all the way into the middle of my team, and kind of sucks for him. Okay, so now 10, 5, and 6. Almost have the LDR completed already, so we're in really good shape. As long as we don't do anything too reckless and die, we should be relatively fine. So here again, we're just kind of waiting around to see if we can catch out any random enemies just passing through. Don't really have any of that though, so instead I'm just going to keep up our mid lane pressure by clearing the mid lane. Here Varus actually gets caught by the Lux, and Lux literally one-shots him. I was coming over to try to help her get the pick, but I wasn't even needed. He just instantly gets one-shot by the Lux, who is 7, 2, and 3 with a really strange set of items, including like the repulsor in chat. Really strange set of items, but anyways, you know, it works out. She does really well. And here we're trying to go onto the Baron. Here Soraka gets caught, and so does Yasuo. So here I'm going in, Soraka goes in with the ulti. I get to S rank, and I actually try to ulti in the middle of the team, but I'm left at 1 HP. I stasis and actually flash away. Somehow I actually managed to escape with the 1 HP there. I'm not quite sure how, but I do actually end up managing to escape with the 1 HP, and my whole team ends up cleaning up the fight and killing the enemy team. Now unfortunately, my team doesn't really want to go for Baron anymore because we are not all that healthy. So instead, I'm just going to go over and clear the top wave while my team just pushes down towers instead. Lux going for mid tower, and our Graves and our Leona is going for the bot tower, and Varus dies again to the Jace. Sorry, not Graves, I meant Jace and Leona. So here, the dragon is up. So here, I'm checking if there's any enemy wards. There is not. So here, I'm just going to solo the dragon because with the pressure created in mid and bot lane, the enemy team has to stop the push, so they shouldn't be able to contest the dragon against me anyways. So here you can see I'm not even bothering to kite the dragon, I'm just standing still, because this technically gives you the most DPS if you're not just running around, something like that. And also with Samira's melee attacks, we do extra damage, so because of that we are able to pick up the dragon. Graves tries to come over with the smite, but ends up just smiting the Scuttle Crab. Here I spot a fight happening all the way down the mid lane. So here I'm just going to get up to my S rank and I'm just going to ult. I'm going to just kill all of them. And there we go, we get another triple kill. My team managed to bait them all into committing to a fight all the way down mid lane. And because of that, they all die. And because they all die, only Varus is up and alive again. And because of that, we should be able to relatively easily end the game. Varus doesn't even bother to come out of the base at this point. And there we have it. The Samira commentary guide. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual, and goodbye.